Thank you, guys. 9 o'clock here in New York City. Was he a deserter or something worse? New questions this morning on Sergeant Bo Bergdahl and the controversial decision to trade 5 high-ranking Taliban members for his freedom. There is a lot to go through again yet today. And I'm Bill Hemmer. Welcome here to America's Newsroom.
Good morning, Bill. Good morning, everybody. I'm Martha McCallum. So critics say that this deal has put our national security at risk. President Obama, though, defending moments ago this decision to release dangerous terrorists in exchange for Bergdahl, simply calling it, quote, the right thing to do.
We saw an opportunity. We were concerned about Sergeant Bergdahl's health. We had the cooperation of the Qataris to execute an exchange, and we seized that opportunity.
So we have Team Fox coverage on this story now. Jennifer Griffin digging deep into Sergeant Bergdahl's time in Afghanistan. She's at the Pentagon. I'm going to begin with Chief White House correspondent Ed Henry, traveling with the president, Warsaw, Poland this hour. We heard the president just about 90 minutes ago. And how did he defend this decision, Ed?
Well, Bill, it's interesting. They know the firestorm that has built up back home on this. So in addition to the president's comments in the last few moments, White House aides have circulated a statement insisting the president, the administration, did not break the law. And they're saying that by claiming they did not give Congress the 30-day notification about swapping these 5 Taliban commanders because they say that Bo Bergdahl's life was in danger and they made the call. They had to go in. The president at a news conference here saying he followed a sacred rule to get soldiers whose lives are in danger. Listen.
Let me just make a very simple point here, and that is, regardless of the circumstances, whatever those circumstances may turn out to be, we still get an American soldier back if he's held in captivity. Period. Full stop. We don't condition that.
Now, bottom line, in terms of the administration saying Bo Bergdahl's life was in danger at the end there, obviously his life was in danger for 5 years since he was in the hands of his captives. The president saying, regardless of the circumstances, is not being bought on Capitol Hill, as you know. Still a lot of questions, Bill.
A lot of questions, as you mentioned there, Ed, and you answered that in part about, these constitutional experts are coming out and saying he basically did not obey the law. But there are new questions about the president's Rose Garden appearance with the Bergdahl family on Saturday afternoon. Now, what are you hearing on that?
That's right. Well, my colleague James Rosen talked to administration officials back in the States who were saying they were stunned that the president appeared in the Rose Garden over the weekend with the family, given particularly Bo Bergdahl's father's controversial statements on Twitter and elsewhere. The other issue, of course, is I mentioned the administration in the last few moments saying that they acted lawfully. Another reason they're citing is that the law says the Secretary of Defense can determine that it's in the national security interest of the U.S. To release prisoners from Gitmo. But bottom line is Republicans like James Inhofe say whether Chuck Hagel made that determination or not, these commanders, these Taliban commanders who have been released, put the nation at risk. Listen to Inhofe.
Any difference who Bergdahl was. You don't swap out and turn back to the fight people who have killed Americans, people who are the brain power of Taliban.
Now, bottom line is James Inhofe, other Republicans will be leading a hearing next Tuesday, a closed hearing. It's going to be behind closed doors, Senate Armed Services Committee, to get more answers to all of these tough questions. You can bet that's just the first of many hearings to come, Bill.
Ed Henry from overseas, traveling in Warsaw, Poland. Ed, thank you. Leading our coverage now, here's Martha.
Well, now to those questions this morning of whether Sergeant Bergdahl was a deserter or potentially a collaborator with the Taliban even. Pentagon sources confirming to Fox that many in the intelligence community had serious concerns that he not only had deserted his post, but that he may have indeed been working in some way with the enemy. National security correspondent Jennifer Griffin live at the Pentagon. So, Jennifer, what is the Pentagon saying on this now?
Well, Martha, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff now says he will not rule out investigating Bergdahl for desertion. The Army has reached out to former members of Bergdahl's unit to question them again as part of what is known as a 15-6 investigation, a sort of commander's grand jury. However, General Martin Dempsey took to Facebook this morning to urge people not to rush to judgment. Quote, in response to those of you interested in my personal judgments about the recovery of Sergeant Bo Bergdahl, the questions about this particular soldiers' conduct are separate from our effort to recover any U.S. service member in enemy captivity. This was likely the last best opportunity to free him. As for the circumstances of his capture, when he is able to provide them, we'll learn the facts. Like any American, he is innocent until proven guilty. Our Army's leaders will not look away from misconduct if it occurred. The Pentagon is still waiting to hear from Begdahl himself. As of this weekend, he was refusing to speak English, Martha.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many mixed reports on this, and I'm curious, what the Pentagon and the Army considered him to be when he left his post. Did they consider him to be AWOL at that time, Jennifer?
Well, the Army already conducted an investigation shortly after he disappeared, and it was very clear from that investigation, which the Pentagon is having trouble putting its hands on right now, that Begdahl sneaked off base, climbing under the wire, leaving behind his weapon and body armor, and according to former unit members denouncing his American citizenship, he also reportedly left a letter in his bunk indicating that he wanted to join the Taliban. The Pentagon is in an awkward position of having to be sensitive to Begdahl's reintegration needs right now and that of his family, but also answering critics who say there were strong indications in 2010 that he was a deserter or worse. Yeah. Martha?
Jennifer, so many questions, and we're going to be talking to Ambassador Bolton. We're going to talk to John McCain. A lot of things this morning that are on the plate, bubbling up in all of this. Jennifer, thank you very much.
All right, soldiers who fought alongside Begdahl saying he abandoned his post and that they're angry that some of our own troops may have died searching for him.
He did not serve the United States with honor. We all took an oath. He violated his oath when he deserted us and put other Americans in jeopardy.
I just don't want to see him hailed as a hero, and I just want him to face the consequences of his own actions and possibly face a court-martial for desertion.
So American agents are still in Germany with Sergeant Begdahl as he recovers, trying to piece together the circumstances of the capture. He does not have a lawyer. Administration officials say it is too early to say whether he will face a court-martial.
Well, the release of Sergeant Begdahl putting a new focus on Afghanistan's Paktika province. This is where he was stationed. It's in southeastern Afghanistan, and some military officials speaking to the Weekly Standard say that the Taliban attacks on U.S. forces in that area seem to have increased in frequency and effectiveness after Begdahl disappeared, which raises a lot of questions about whether or not he may have been pointing them in that direction. And that's the suggestion.
Said to be in stable condition right now in Germany, a U.S. military hospital there where he's being fed a special diet. It is not clear how long he'll remain hospitalized. He's currently being interviewed by the military, and a Pentagon spokesman says that Begdahl has not yet spoken to his family, but will as soon as doctors decide that he is ready. Joint Chiefs Chairman Dempsey in Brussels about an hour ago, saying that the Army may still pursue desertion investigation of Bo Begdahl. We're going to bring that question.
And it raises so many questions, as you and I have talked about the White House Rose Garden ceremony, and whether or not, there should have been perhaps some more circumspect presentation of this whole thing, given the fact that there are a lot of big question marks out there. And will he be wearing a uniform when and if he comes back is another big question. So